So, this is Anthony Lewis.
This is Alan Reichenthal.
Very good.
Sure. The man, the myth, the legend, the brand, the Lamborghini specialist.
You are the Porsche specialist.
So they say. So they say.
So welcome to episode number 2.
Episode number 2. Got some traction, got some good feedback from the first one. So we're going to sit here and
surprisingly so. Equally.
Sure. Sure. So I think we are ready for our first question.
Yes, first question.
All right, from the audience. First, how do you tell them their car is ugly?
Wow,
how do you tell them
the
their
ugly
car is
spec?
ugly?
That's a tough one. The ugly spec. So listen. You want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
I was going to say who goes first, and then I was going to tease you a bit because I often walk in here while he's building a car and tell him that it's ugly. But I think it's interesting because
different clients.
There you go. The cars that you build versus the cars that I build. So
that's very
let's start
true.
on the extreme end. Your side.
So my clients certainly are more extreme. Right off the bat, Lamborghini clients are not afraid of being out there with
the
colors.
brand itself.
Say again?
The brand itself.
The brand itself, exactly. It's very it's ostentatious. It's out there. It's the right type of edge that people are looking for. And the colors that they choose send it a little bit further over the edge or a little bit more tame.
So I'll play devil's advocate for you. My name's so-and-so. I'm building you you're building me a Revuelto, and I show up with something that you don't think
works.
Yeah.
So ultimately, it's your car. If you have no intentions of selling this car, you can do whatever the you want with the car. If you're going to resell the car at any point in time, okay?
Which always happens.
That's what my point when I explain to someone that you might not want to do this, or that. And typically people listen to me because I'm doing this long enough. It's a lot about options, but when it comes to the color, if you want to resell this car, it has to be a resellable spec. It has to be a spec that not only you would want. And that's my only point. Okay. But again, if you're keeping the car,
that's fair,
and not trying to trade it into us as a dealer or sell it to your friend.
Take it somewhere else.
Take it. You could always take it someplace else.
No,
but if you're trying to resell that car and you want to retain as much value as possible, I'm going to give you the best advice to do so. That's
makes sense.
That's my point.
Makes sense. On my side of things, Porsche maybe slightly more classic. I'm not going to use the word classy, but classic.
No, for sure.
Not as ostentatious. You know, I always, especially if we're talking about like Turbo S, 911 Turbo S, I always describe it as a car that's punching above its weight, right? Like it's not really meant to look big and scrappy.
Yeah,
it's just going to, talk with its fists. Sure.
I like that.
But yeah, Porsche has some wild colors and there's some wild things that you can put together. But I agree with you. It's your car.
There's less wild Porsches.
What I always describe it to, if a client's going to build something that I'm going to disagree with or just may not think it looks good, generally put together well, but maybe it doesn't look good. I always tell them that no matter, is this color too loud? Is this, too aggressive? Your car will always have a market. It might be a smaller market than the black cars and silver cars and the white cars and things like that, but it will belong to a market.
That's a good point.
It might take a little bit longer to sell, but someone will walk up one day and be like, that thing's hot.
Although we've all seen those color combinations that never have left the factory.
Sometimes they sit for a while on the showroom floor.
Yes.
But it gets the people going. It's a good conversation starter when there's a bright orange. And it's interesting because I think people are buying a car is a huge commitment, what I've noticed. And I've always said that. Even when I buy a car, right? People will congratulate you like you had a kid.
Well,
when you buy a car, whether it's a big car or a small car. So upstairs we have a green Panamera.
Yeah.
People walk up, I love this thing. Can I order a black one? I'm just like, it's a 3-year lease, or maybe you're gonna buy it and you'll trade it in 5 years. You're not married to the color. Go with green.
People think differently. You're not wrong. I mean, it's like you can certainly order something different, but you're gonna wait. Why wait when you can get something now?
Get what you want. We're gonna take a large deposit. Half up front. I think a good topic of conversation is manual transmission manual transmission versus the EV.
As opposed, but let's
And
explain.
I'll expound on that.
Give
just
me
in
give
case
me
you
your explanation as to why. Because my conversation was EV gas or EV
But
hybrid.
that conversation's
but
been had.
That
right?
was
like
your
everyone's,
point. Right?
Everyone's already having the EV conversation.
Yes.
Because you know what? I'll tell you one thing. I just got back from Texas. Porsche sent me to training. I drove the new Macan 4, the Macan Turbo.
You came back raving
EV,
about it. Raving.
Drove the 2025 Taycan Turbo S with the active ride,
Yep.
all the bells and whistles, right?
Yep.
And everybody in the building did. Nobody came back and said, I hated it, whatever, didn't make any noise, still want a gasoline car. Everybody still appreciated the cars for what they were.
Right.
I think I'm personally stuck in the thought process of, would I own one?
Yeah.
Right? I think if I always had a second car, gasoline car, a fun car, I would definitely own one as a utility. But that's why my conversation wasn't going to be about gas versus EV, because that's been there, done that. I think a better conversation to have is, what are you giving up having an EV, right? So that's why I spun it as EV versus manual transmission.
Because most EVs aren't going to be manual.
They're just not. You're going to have all of the power in the world. Zero.
Are there any EVs that are manual that I can think of right now?
It will never be a manual. That's the thing.
Yeah.
A clutch, a transmission, an engine, and the whole
From an
setup,
engineering standpoint.
From a technical standpoint.
Yeah.
It is a mechanical
You think
apparatus.
if anyone could have done
You can put in like fake shift points and like, have you ever driven a car with the CVT?
I have. I hated it. I had a Nissan Murano at one point. Horrible.
Everybody hates the CVT.
Yeah, terrible.
That pays attention to it.
Yeah.
For people that don't pay attention to that mechanical feeling of a vehicle, they don't pay attention to a CVT.
Yeah.
And they won't pay attention to what they feel like they're missing in a electric vehicle.
Right.
So that can be a conversation for now. I mean, we kind of just largely touched on the hot points.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always a fan of manuals, what I would say. I mean, I would take manual over anything.
For the rest of your life, for your car purchasing future, you will always choose something with a manual transmission.
I would, if I had one choice. I drive an automatic now. It's because my wife does not drive manual. We only have 2 cars.
Sure.
If I can afford and when I can get a third and have a space for a third car, it would be pure manual.
It can be anything, right?
Right now, there's a situation where sometimes we need to go back and forth, so I can't have a manual as much as I'd like to. I'd like to teach my wife how to drive manual. I think everyone should know how to drive manual, by the way.
That's as much as I agree. It's like everybody needing to know how to send a fax, right?
I think is passe. I don't think that
manual transmissions. Like, what car on the market where you can, still actively?
I look at it like a situation, and I've always thought of it this way. I know it's different now.
And I'm pro manual.
Let's say my daughter.
I'm
going to teach my daughter how to drive manual. Okay. Because I feel one day she might be traveling through Europe with her boyfriend, who I feel sorry for already.
Sure.
And let's say he knows how to drive manual and she doesn't, and they're renting a car that's manual, and God forbid something happens, and she's got to drive the car. So I want her to be able to sit there and be like,
you're telling
take it over.
You're so good at driving a manual transmission that when you teach her at 16, 17, 18, and then at 25, she's running around
I want her to,
the Swiss Alps.
No, she's
gonna have one of those That's So Raven
Alps.
moments.
You hear that, Mia? Swiss Alps.
You said Europe. And she's
going
to be like,
Swiss
my
Alps
dad,
sounds wonderful.
clutch, slip point, first gear, parking. She's going to remember all of that.
You should have seen her with the Power Wheels at 4.
Then you know what? I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
I'm going to send you the clip. We'll put it up over here.
Teach.
It's so much better when it's faster, right? Whoa!
Teach your daughter manual. Next question, please.
After sale?
After you and I.
Besides us, who's the next most, I would say whoever the client's in contact with after us in the service department.
My answer was the technician. My answer was the technician.
So this is the cycle that some clients may not understand. Yeah. Sales drives service, but service drives sales. If service up, they ain't coming back for sales.
And as I think our service manager describes it, is the service department carries the relationship with that vehicle on to the next purchase.
I love that.
Right? Our job can take a lot of time just with how long the cars take to get built, but over the miles, over the oil changes, the check engine lights, the warning lights, the brakes, the service, the repairs, the upgrades, none of that, it can maybe be facilitated by us, but it's done by the service department.
Correct.
So the service department technicians, 100%. Most.
Absolutely. Service department is huge.
Car does something weird on delivery, service department. You know, New York State inspection, the basics,
Service bar.
right? 100%. Good question.
Cut.